Welcome to the Females Across the Pond and Beyond podcast. Hi, I'm Clara.
Hi, I'm Angie. We're here to share all things email and beyond. We go through the trials and tribulations of running your own business, being your own boss, and sending your own email marketing.
As email marketing experts, we're dedicated to helping small businesses thrive so they can have more freedom in their business.
Ready to get started? Let's dive into the episode.
Hello, and welcome to our next episode on mindset. Really great to see you guys. How are you doing, Angie?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to chat about email marketing mindset because I feel like that's something that we're always coaching our clients on, which is usually unexpected, I think, for our clients. They usually come to us for like strategy or like, to help with this and that. And we find that a lot of the barriers our clients are having are basically with their mindset, right? And how they're approaching their emails. So I'm really excited to talk about that. But yeah, like my weekend was good. It's spring here. Well, I guess it's almost summer now. We're dating this podcast, but it'll be out sometime in the summer. But it's the beginning of summer here, and I'm just getting out into my garden. I love gardening. I love gardening so much. It's like my meditation. So I put I added compost to my dirt around my plants because I heard that was a good thing to do. And I started remulching all around my landscape to make it look nice again. I skipped mulching last year, so I have to do it. And then I have a rose garden,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, well, I'm trying to build a rose garden. I probably have like 6 or 7 roses. And oh my gosh, roses are so hard to take care of. There's just like pests all of the time. And yeah, they're my babies. So I have thrips. So I'm trying to get rid of the thrips right now. So I'm battling in my garden, I guess you could say.
And you're talking in terms that I don't know what, can I just say I don't know what mulching is? Does it involve like
Really?
on like wet grapes or something?
Like wood chips that you
Oh,
put
yeah.
around your
Yeah.
landscaping to
Okay.
like tamper down the weeds. And it also keeps the temperature of the soil even so it doesn't fluctuate too
Ah,
much. And then that's healthy for the roots too, as well. So
yeah. I need you to fly all the way to London to Watford actually to sort my garden out because it just is like it needs a lot of work. I feel like a whole redesign, but then I get overwhelmed and I'm like, where do I even start? So
just
I
start
have,
with one area, one little area.
yeah,
I would love to do that though. And I would love to go see all the gardens around the
yeah,
country because they are just incredible. I just watch YouTube videos all the time about them. So I'm
yeah.
jealous.
Kew Gardens has got to be one of the best gardens in the UK for sure. Like you've got to go if you haven't been. I would
Yeah.
love my own tiny little garden to look like that in some shape or form. But I have a cat and I did plant some flowers last year and she uses it as a as a toilet. So nothing is growing.
You would think that would help, right? Wouldn't that be some like natural fertilizer?
And I
No.
no, and I spent loads of money on these amazing wooden planters and she uses those as toilets. So it's
Oh
kind of like,
no.
oh God. So yeah, I need to like carve out a space just for me to grow stuff without making it cat proof for sure.
There's got to
Um,
be some sort of plants that cats like want nothing to do with. Like that's usually when you're trying to control deer or other animals or rabbits and stuff. It's always like the smelly, like textured plants like marigolds and things like that that you can plant around your beds to keep them away. So I don't know if it's the same thing for cats, but there might be something
mm,
like that that might help.
yeah. I need to check out one of those, those lid things that you can just put plants in and it's protected.
Yeah, or that
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
greenhouse.
Yeah. It's like on my list, my to-do list to do my garden. I mean, we keep it tidy, but it's yeah, it needs a lot of work. So if you're ever in the UK,
I know.
gotta go.
I really hope that I can come like one day soon. I have a lot of friends out in Europe now because of my entrepreneur circle. So I'm just like, I need to go. No excuse. I have
Yeah.
places I could probably stay. So
Well, you're always
I'd
welcome
love
here.
to. Yeah.
Well, look, let's get on with the episode for today. So, we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
today about mindset. And why is this something we decided to dedicate a podcast to? Well, actually, it's very important because it does impact everything we do. So, we're going to relate it to email marketing, but you might find some of the things we talk about today are in relation to other parts of your business. But really, it's all about having the right mindset, as we all know and believe. However, what that looks like in reality can, stop us from doing so many things. So, Angie, what are the kind of common ways that mindset barriers might manifest? What does it look like?
I think for my clients, first and foremost, the biggest thing that it affects is being able to send emails. That's the mindset of, um, there's so many barriers, I think, of just like sending an email, not even, well, there's the tech, and feeling comfortable setting up an email, scheduling an email, and all of the tech that goes around that, which can cause mindset blocks because that can be a little scary. I mean, you have to learn how to do it. It's another skill to learn, right?
Hmm.
And then there's just also the mindset hump of writing an email and sending it to people that you don't even know? So especially if you're a service provider and you're writing emails with your name and it's all about you, I find that it can be difficult to really lean into email and to, not put our emails on a pedestal. That's what we tend to do, right? We see all these wonderful emails in our inbox and we're like, "Oh, I need to be like this and I need to have this and I need it to be designed like this." And all of this can stop us from actually sending emails, which is the most important part of email marketing, is just getting them out the door. So, those are kind of the common barriers that I see. Of course, there's more that we'll dive into. But what about you?
Similar. I think it's like fear of tech, as you say. I think it's doubt about what they've created is going to add value.
Mm,
I think it's about the frequency that they feel that maybe they're spamming people. But actually, the other side of it is for those that aren't sending, is that procrastination, wanting to get it absolutely perfect. Um, you know, how these other barriers might show up is that you're inconsistent. So 1 month you're sending multiple times and then you stop sending for 6 months. And because you may have decided that for some reason you've sent too many and therefore you want to pull back on your email marketing. So there are many ways that these barriers manifest. And, we're going to look at strategies to help you overcome these mindset barriers and how to actually kind of reframe sending that email and actually getting you to press send as opposed to just procrastinating or worrying about the content and a number of other things. Um, so let's dive into some of the strategies then that we can talk about today around mindset shift. So, first of all, it's recognizing some of the things that are coming up for us. So we talked about procrastination. I mean, Angie, have you ever experienced procrastination?
heck yes. Even with my own email marketing, I think that's the hardest thing for me to do is my own email marketing above my clients, of course. So that's something that I have procrastinated on. Sometimes, and even in doing some client work that is kind of scary to me is something new that I just recently did a brand new redesign of a newsletter for one of my clients. We're trying a different format in order
Nice.
to send information because the way that we were doing it before wasn't really getting a lot of clicks. So we're trying something new. And I procrastinated designing that email and just like getting it started because I was scared because it was even something new for me, even though it was my idea and like I wanted to do it and I brought it to the client. But
Mm.
yeah, I think, that's also very real sometimes as well, that some like I even get scared, trying new things or trying new designs or whatever. So, but it's
It,
easier to get through that when someone's paying you.
yeah, I mean, and it's completely normal, right, to procrastinate. And it's not just in relation to email marketing, but many aspects of your business. For example, I know for social media, people
Ugh.
procrastinate showing up on a live or doing a reel or any of that. And I completely relate to that. Like, if there's anything I could do in my to-do list, I would rather not do my showing up live. Like, I'm trying to change my mindset around that. And actually, I am getting better, but it takes work. Um, but I'm sure there are things in your business that you are procrastinating on that you maybe um, there are things that you have to do, but you know that you're putting off. I
Mhm.
mean, it may not just be email marketing, it might be all of your marketing, for example. Um, but actually, today we want to talk you through some techniques that we both use that can help you to um, to get going and actually press that button. So, I mean, first of all, really, what we want to talk about here is the idea of starting small. And Angie, I know that when we work with solopreneurs and small businesses, a lot of the overwhelm is to do with the feeling of like, oh my God, I've got so much I need to do on my email. There's no way I can do it all. And so they feel overwhelmed. What would you say to them around that feeling of overwhelm?
I would say, well, I would empathize because it's very true. Even I feel that way with my email marketing. Heck, I don't even have, all the flows that I try to tell my clients to have. It's very real. But at the end of the day, the thing that you can do in order to get started with email marketing and to set yourself up for success is to just get on a regular cadence of sending email campaigns, which can be very simple. I know that even feels like hard for some people, but even if it's every 2 weeks, every month, consistency is the most important part of email marketing. It tells your subscribers that you're still around. And again, you kind of talked about like being inconsistent and how that can cause kind of mistrust in you and kind of a falling off of engagement of your email list. We want to keep people engaged. Engaged list buy. And the way that people stay engaged is if first and foremost, we are just consistently emailing them. So I always tell my clients, give yourself a real frequency of emailing, of like your schedule for emailing. What can you realistically do right now just to get into the habit of emailing again, whether that's every 2 weeks, every 10 days, whatever, every month, whatever it is, I don't care. Just start to get into the habit. And then once you get into and make it a habit, then it's just going to be a lot easier. And then we can tackle the other things down the road. But that's kind of where I tell them to start, just giving themselves realistic expectations of how often they can send an email and start doing it. Give
Yeah.
yourself reminders and put it into your marketing plan, put it on your to-do list for the day. Take a dedicated day or time and commit it to your email marketing.
I think that's a great shout. And I actually put a block of 1 hour time block in my diary. Time blocking really works for me. I'm trying to stick to it. I don't know if you've ever tried it. It's just essentially putting time scheduled for a specific task in your diary and sticking to it and then moving on after that hour is up. But I put in an hour a week for my weekly email, and I do everything I can to stick to it. And sometimes it doesn't take me that long. Sometimes I want to do extra things, but I try and stick to it more or less. And I think it's also about starting small. So if you are completely new to email marketing, maybe the first step for you is just even setting up your your first email, that's a really big milestone. And then the next one might be actually creating content, and then the next might be pressing send. Um, so there are it's important to look at the ways in which we are setting goals that are right for us, because what is
Hmm.
right for me might not be right for you. So yeah, as Angie says, what's realistic? What is going to help you make progress? Even if it's the smallest possible step forward, it's still progress. Um, and I want to talk about perfectionism, Angie. Like, I know that we touched on it earlier, but perfectionism is like the killer of all progress, right? Because
Hmm.
you could easily spend hours creating the most beautiful email and not even send it, right?
And you don't even know if that beautiful email is going to land with your subscribers.
Yeah.
I think that's something to keep in mind, that when you first start to send email, you're very much figuring out your audience too. It's very much exploratory and being curious and trying different things, which maybe can also help in relieving the stress of perfectionism, that it doesn't have to be perfect. When we send an email, we're just trying to gather data. We're just trying to gather information on what kind of content your audience likes. What's the stuff that gets them to open? What's the stuff that gets them to click? So I think it's really good to keep that in mind as well, because I struggle with perfectionism too. In every area of my business, I want all of my work to be A plus plus, but I always try to do B minus work. B minus work is probably your subscribers' A plus plus work.
Yeah. And I guess what we mean by B minus work is
Yeah.
not that it's lower quality. It's more just around our mindset around the work. So rather than waiting for it to be absolutely perfect, we want to get that email out where it's going to be good enough to get results. And so we want to change that mentality around it being the most perfect email. Like, just press send, because you're going to learn so much more by getting it out there than it sitting in, you know, in draft. So we want to encourage you to just take action, progress over perfection every time. I know, I mean, I've struggled with perfection, particularly for the work I do for clients, more so than my own business. I have such high standards, but that can get in the way of other things. So I really have to make sure that, how can I deliver great work um, that is done in a way that is timely? So we have to look at our relationship to things like mindset around perfectionism. It's not a bad thing, but we need to just make sure we manage it in a way that it's not stopping us from moving forward in our business. Because I know people that have waited like a year for their website to go live, and they've waited to do other activity, and therefore they have no business. Because like, if you're not taking action in other areas like social media, email marketing, to try and push your business forward, and you're waiting for everything to line up and that full moon to happen, you don't have a business, right? You do not
Yeah.
have a business. So
Yeah.
forget perfectionism. It's hard because I am a self-confessed perfectionist, but it's all about getting progress in your business, moving forward, seeing some data, insights, results. Um, what about, Angie, where we have taken that first scary step forward and we've sent our first email, but let's say it doesn't perform as well as we had hoped? Like, how do we manage our mindset then?
Well, we then look at the email and say, why maybe this didn't work? Who is my audience? Who are the people on my list? Why might this not have resonated with them? Was it the subject line? Was it the headline? Was it the format? You can also send your email to a friend, and ask for some feedback. But really, it's bad. No data is bad data. Like it's all good. It's all teaching us what is going to work with our audience. That's the most important thing that we are trying to understand with our email marketing is what they like and what they don't like. So anytime we get low click rates, great. Now we know that didn't work and we can file it away and not try it again, right? And we can try something new. So it's just the green light to explore other options. I know it can feel like a personal attack or like, yeah, we can take it a little personally if we don't get click rates or if we see those unsubscribes. We have a whole episode on unsubscribes. And I know I have clients that struggle with, oh my gosh, they unsubscribed from this email that I wrote and I put like my heart and soul into it. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with your email. It's just that they're not interested in your products, or there could be so many reasons why people aren't clicking, aren't reading, that have nothing to do with you. So that's always good to keep in mind as well. And another reason to, not be so hard on yourself. And again, view it as, okay, this is just data. What is this saying to me? What's the line? Data over drama.
Yeah, a wise
Always,
person
always.
once told us.
A wise person once said.
Um, yeah, I completely agree. I think that you could get stuck in analysis paralysis as well, where you think, oh my goodness, this hasn't worked. Well, nothing's going to work now. Like you'll start to kind of feel quite negative about it in some
Mhm.
cases. But actually, it's all good learnings, right? As Angie says, like we're getting information about what your subscribers are interacting with. And you know what? I hate to say it, but it's not always about us. There are other things going on in our readers' lives, in our subscribers' lives. So it could be they're on holiday, it could be a key seasonal period where people are off their phones, off their desktops. Um, it could just be an incredibly busy period for people. It could be that you sent at the wrong time. There are a number of reasons. So we we don't want that to stop our progress. This is, for us, this is success that you've actually taken that step forward and you've sent something. So do celebrate those small milestones. You got your email out this week. Great. Like that's
Yeah.
really good. And celebrate
Number
that.
one.
Celebrate it, because that's a big deal. There are so many people for every email you send, there's someone sitting there procrastinating, not getting any results. Imagine if that one email can really, t- you know, transform someone's life in a way that, they need your product or service. Like, how amazing would that feel if you sent your email and it actually was able to do that for someone? So by not sending, you're stopping helping people from um, some of their challenges and pain points that they're going through.
And I think as well, just realize too that you simply just showing up in the inbox and your name in the inbox, whether they open your email or not, they're being reminded that you exist. And maybe right now they're not ready for your services or your product, but in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month, because you keep showing up, they still might buy. It's the same thing with launching programs. Clara's about to launch a program. I've launched a program. A lot of times when you're launching a program, you do not get any engagement from people. Nobody's liking your stuff, nobody's talking to you. And then all of a sudden, when doors close, you get an influx of people signing up for the program and you have no idea that they were watching your stuff. You've got no interaction. It can be the exact same with emails. If you're not getting engagement, you're not getting interaction, it doesn't mean that people aren't going to buy from you.
It's so true. And, we just say, like, just keep going, right? Don't give up, because the moment you give up, then, you're giving up on such an important channel, an important way to grow your business. So keep going, even if it's small steps, even if it's just your friends and your mum on your email list. We all started there, and it's okay. It gets you into the practice of sending an email. So, and there are going to be setbacks, as we've said. There are going to be emails that don't perform. There are going to be emails that people don't read. Um, But, I had someone on my email list that was reading my emails for a year before she took action. So it just shows that people are reading, they are taking note, but they may not act straight away. This is just how people, different buying patterns, different risk appetites, there's a number of things as to why people make decisions to work with you. But if you're not even showing up in the first place, you're making it so much harder. You're making it so much
Yeah.
harder.
Then they're going to
Um,
forget. They're going to forget about you and maybe even go to somebody else. So,
yeah. And I guess like some ways that external resources that come to mind for me that have helped me personally, I really like the book. Have you heard of Eat That Frog? I think it's by
no, but
Brian
you've told
Tracy.
me about it.
Yeah. It's basically about doing the task that you feel is most difficult first in the day. So you get it done and there's a sense of accomplishment. Um, and I find that philosophy in your day to day is such a good thing to do because once you get that one thing done that's on your mind, it might be sending your email. Once you've done it, it's that real sense of tick, I've done it, sense of achievement and momentum, and it sets you up for the day. So I would really think about what is it that's stopping you? Is it overwhelm? Is it procrastination? Is it fear of tech? Like, really think about what are the true reasons as to why you're not sending emails. Um, when it comes to overwhelm, as we've said earlier, that one of the things and the ways to overcome this is actually start small. Start with one thing and send. Don't feel you have to do lots of different flows, lots of different automations, especially if you're new to this. Just start small, do one newsletter, see how that goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just write a weekly email to my list, and sometimes they're very short and sweet. Sometimes they're just pointing to an Instagram post that did well for me or another type of content that did well for me. Last week, I just sent an email that was like, "Hey, we have a podcast," or "We have a podcast episode," and that was it. Just the fact that I'm continuing to nurture those relationships. I don't, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I don't really have a lot of flow set up. Again, I don't have all of the stuff, but the thing that I do baseline is consistently send an email, and I do make money from my email list just by staying consistent in the inbox of my subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah. So do I. And it's about just showing up. And yeah, I mean, I did a similar email. I talked about this podcast that we're on and how, linking out to content to help people. Um, but I think if you're not showing up, then yeah, you're not going to see that progress in your business. So we've talked about overwhelm and ways to take that first step forward, particularly if you feel like there's so much to do. One other tip on that I wanted to share is whatever you're doing for your social media, you can also do for your email, right? You don't have to create these separate strategies. That's where I think people get stuck. So let's say you're talking about an event you did on Instagram. You can also link to that event in your email to your social media. So they can work together like sisters, they're not supposed to be separate standalone channels. Um, so yeah, the other thing as well is we talked earlier, Angie, about repurposing content, right? You don't have to come up with
Yeah.
something fresh and new every time.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
No,
how many people do this all the time, right?
yeah. And also, if you have a website, you can always take any information that you have on your website, whether that's an About Me page or an intro paragraph, a product page, whatever it is, a blog. You can copy that, you can paste it into ChatGPT, and you can tell ChatGPT to come up with email ideas for you based on that little bit of writing, or you can tell ChatGPT to reword it. Now, I wouldn't always copy word for word what ChatGPT says because you want to have your brand voice and you want to keep your emails personalized in that way. That's really important, but it can give yourself a quick remedy for if you're stuck on what content to send or or how to say what you want to say. You can just plug it in there, plug anything that you've already created in there, have it reword it for you, put your little spin on it, and put it in your email and send it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think AI now is a great place to go if you're stuck for inspiration. And remember, if you've defined content pillars for social media, you can absolutely use that for email. Like, we want you to be taking easy steps forward. Email isn't supposed to be complicated. It's just another channel, and a fantastic way to build relationships with your audience. So have a think about what's stopping you in it specifically around your mindset. The other one we haven't explored further is, and we touched on it earlier, Angie, is that feeling of, oh God, I'm spamming my inbox. They're hearing too much from me. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's the biggest block to all of my clients is I don't want to annoy my subscribers. The first thing that I always say to them, but they signed up to hear from you. They signed up to receive your emails. And I would also say that it's kind of a bigger deal, in my opinion, to sign up for an email than to follow someone on social media. How easily do we
Really?
just hit the follow button? But we're more discerning about whose email list we're getting on because we also, know that people then will send us emails. We know what email marketing is. So you don't need to take the responsibility of how your subscribers feel about emails. Firstly, because they signed up knowing that they are going to get emails from you and they willingly did it.
Yeah.
Also, they can unsubscribe at any time. It is in their hands to get off your email list. And as long as you have a link, a clear link in your email that allows them to unsubscribe, then you don't need to worry about it. Just feel confident and comfortable that they can take care of their own inbox and manage their inbox as they should be doing. Right?
Yeah, 100%. I think, I totally agree with that. Your audience want to hear from you, right? They want to hear. They've actually filled in a form, given their
Yeah.
details, and said, "I want to hear from you." And then you're doing them a disservice by not contacting them. So this whole idea of feeling like you're annoying your audience is crazy to me because they actually have opted in. Like you have evidence, right? So we need to adjust our mindsets on that because that again is going to stop us and our business moving forward if we don't take action. Um, there are moments where you might send something and you feel like, oh, maybe that won't do so well, or you have doubts. We're human. We are human, and these are normal feelings. But the point is, we're always going to go back to just send the email, just send the
Hmm.
email, and then learn as to what's happening. Um, so we've covered overwhelm, we've covered feeling like those that may feel like they're annoying their audience. We've covered procrastination. Are there any other barriers that we haven't touched on?
Did we really talk about tech? Because we could talk
No.
about tech a
Yeah.
little bit more,
Yeah,
because
let's
that's
do
a
it.
very real thing
Yeah. I
and
get
something
it.
that,
I completely
I
get
get
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some tech things that, Clara and I are going to each other for, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, look, our message is that on the whole, email marketing is easy and anyone can do it, but there are occasionally times where there's a little more tech setup required, particularly if you're just starting out or you might have deliverability issues. And even Angie and I will say, we have people we go to that are more
Mhm.
specialized in certain areas when it comes to like specific tech.
Mhm.
Um, but if it is simply that you maybe have adopted a belief that you're no good at tech whatsoever, that is really interesting to me because I'd say even the most fearful of tech can send an email with some step-by-step guidance. Like it is actually really straightforward. Um, it really depends on what you're fearful of and what's happened to you in the past. It'd be great to understand. And at this point, we always encourage you to, send us any comments around this, this specific point here around tech overwhelm. But I don't know, Angie, do you have any specific areas to share?
I mean, I think it also feel good and know that you can reach out to your email provider. So I am always reaching out to Klaviyo on behalf of my clients if I have a question, if I run into something that I'm not sure of. And they have a lot of articles and there's even other email service providers who have YouTube videos on how to do XYZ. You know, I had to learn ConvertKit in the past 2 months. So I've been going to YouTube to learn how to do different things. I've also been reaching out to their support regularly. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And there is a bunch of free help out there that can really speed up the process for you and help get you over those humps. One thing that I love about Klaviyo and why I always work in Klaviyo, I mean, I'm sure it's like this for other email service providers, is they're not afraid to like get into your account as they're doing customer support for you and like even help me like set up stuff, which I think is can be phenomenal.
Mm.
So you never know what kind of help is out there unless you ask.
Absolutely. And, you know, there might be this fear that actually, oh my goodness, I'm so stuck on tech, it's going to cost me a fortune to fix. Well,
Mm,
actually, you know, as Angie says, there's so much available for free, and the email providers are, it's in their interest to help you because they want you to be happy on their platform. I just did an audit recently for a new client on Brevo, and there was one thing that wasn't working for me. It was just so frustrating. I couldn't get into a specific part of the platform. So I reached out to their customer services team, and it was just a really quick fix for me to resolve. So at any level, you're going to experience a certain amount of tech over time. But if you think the mindset, if you change your mindset to actually think, well, this is all fixable, it's all figure outable, like, you know, you can, there'll be an answer somewhere and someone can help you, particularly the email providers. So don't let that stop you from sending your email this week. Um, well, I don't know, Angie, is there anything else on mindset we haven't covered?
I feel like that's it. I mean, the one thing that I want to everyone to keep in mind is the more that you let this stuff block you and stop you from sending emails, at the end of the day, that's the money that you're leaving on the table because that's what email marketing can do for us. And when we're not sending emails, we're not making money, we're not making sales for our business. So I know that we kind of talked about like what are the manifestations of all of this. I think at the end of the day, it's really, that, and so to
Yeah.
keep that in mind, that this can be such a profitable channel for you and one that I think is very much worth it to work on. And the way that you work on it is you just keep practicing and again, taking it step by step and day by day and task by task. And eventually you're going to feel so confident in your email marketing and the things that you can do. And that's what we want for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you're going to kick yourself if you leave it and you
Mhm.
realize actually, you know, when you start to see others progress and sending, you know, where they're sending emails and what have you, it's going to be one of those moments of regret where I wish I'd started my email list sooner. I wish I'd started sending emails. It's a really nice and easy habit to get into, and before you know it, you will enjoy it because you're building a relationship with your audience, and that's really special because they want to hear from you. So it's, you know, first of all, they want to hear from you and you want to write to them. So stopping that is, you know, really stopping your business from growing. And we want you to have that growth. So if we haven't covered anything that you might be stuck on around mindset barriers, then do drop us a note. You can reach us on our email address, beyond females beyond the pond at gmail.com. Had a mind blank moment then. Just let us know if you have any other barriers that you might be struggling with, and we'd be more than happy to help you. But yeah, we hope that you've got a lot of key helpful takeaways from today's session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And send those emails. We're rooting you on from afar.
Thanks, guys. Take care. You've just listened to Females Across the Pond and Beyond podcast with your hosts, Clara and Angie. If you like our content, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on the platform of your choice. Is there something you want to hear about for our next episode? Email us at femalesacrossthepond@gmail.com to let us know. Until next time.